here. My name is Divan Mom, and we're having conversations. And I have four very lovely ladies with me in the house, and I'll be starting from my left. You all know her.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nike.
And next to me,
Chinwe.
to my right.
Well, I am Dr. B. I was Christian Dr. B, but B stands for Brimer. It's nice to be here again.
Rick Eva, nice to be here.
Yes, we're all very happy to be here, and it's another very lovely edition. Today we will be talking about drug abuse and related issues, so you will be wanting to stick around for that.
When there's a child out there that's not getting the same that your own child is getting, the difference will tell, and there will come a time in the society where that child is going to take his pound of flesh.
Where you can actually, everything from watching a program with the child, you can start up the conversation from something on the TV and say, oh, you know.
For me, it's like, hurry up with this business. And the other one said, Auntie, it's not about me, it's about the guys. They're not ready to marry.
Yes.
If she wants to ask something, no, I know my mother very well. In fact, the most interesting one is when I put up pictures on WhatsApp, you know, Snapchat filters and all that, she will call me, remove that picture. There was a day, I got tired of all that and I said,
Today we're talking about drug abuse and attendant issues on our conversations today. I'll be starting with you, Nike. What do you think drug abuse is?
Drug abuse, for me, I stand to be corrected, is when you take something, you're dependent on something, and you can't live without it. You could go through all means and all processes to get that particular thing, that drug. And it could be anything. I know there are different things from sniffing gum to tablets and, you know, some other advanced things, but I guess the doctor will put me, you know, on the right path.
Yeah, I deliberately started with you because I want us all to give our layman's views on what we think drug abuse is. So, Chinwe, what about you?
Yeah, it's substance abuse. It could be something as simple as painkillers, Panadol, for instance. It could be even cough syrup. I hear some people get high from using coughs, taking cough syrup just to maintain some kind of high or something. And it could be hard drugs as well, you know, like marijuana and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's making it control you instead of you controlling it, basically.
Okay. And what about you? What do you think? What's your view?
Well, I feel when you're talking about drug abuse, it has to do with taking drugs without a prescription.
Yeah, that's what I tend to think it is too.
Yes, when it's not needed, or when maybe you have an ailment and it's been prescribed to you for a certain period of time, but you exceed that period of time and you keep using it. For me, that's drug abuse.
So this is where we bring you in.
Yes.
Rima, let us know where we've gone wrong, what we've said right.
Everybody, you know, has an idea of what drug abuse actually is.
Okay.
It's either a drug or a substance. So it's a substance abuse or it's a drug abuse. Ordinarily, what comes to mind when somebody says drug abuse is when you use a medication beyond its use. And I'm not just using it beyond its use, misusing it, meaning if you are asked to take 2 tablets 3 times a day, you take 2 tablets 4 times a day.
Right.
Or you take 1 tablet 3 times a day.
So as minor as that, it's already edging into abuse.
Already edging into abuse. Now, the abuse that people's mind tend to go to, it's not this abuse that I've just described.
Yeah.
This abuse, in medical term, is not an abuse per se. It's non-compliance.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not complying with the dosage regimen for that particular medication.
Okay.
Now, drug abuse, the real drug abuse, the real substance abuse that we want to talk about today is the pattern use. When you use a substance in a pattern format in such a way that it causes harm to you and causes harm to other people around you. Psychological harm, social harm, physical harm. That is when we're talking about the actual drug abuse that breaks home, families, and causes death.
I've heard that alcohol is a drug.
Yes, it is.
Please explain.
Now, the substance abuse or the drug abuse that we're looking at today, we're not talking about the abuse of anti-malaria or antibiotics or painkillers, paracetamol. We're talking about the abuse of substances like alcohol, like cannabis, like marijuana, like cocaine, like heroin, like stimulants, hallucinogens, inhalants, cough syrup, like she talked about, antihistamines. And a law for cough syrup is the codeine in it.
Okay.
It's a codeine in the cough syrup that is making people rush to take a cough syrup. Codeine is the active ingredient in the cough syrup that causes the signs and symptoms of a cough and a cold to subside. But it also has the effect of making people high.
That's when you really take a lot, because I've never taken any cough syrup that made me feel like, oh, I'm so happy today.
You're taking this cough syrup in the prescribed format. Prescribed dosage of 10 to 5 mils every 3 to 4 hours.
Yes.
These people I'm telling you about, grab the bottle and down it. Grab another one and down it. Grab one. Of course, they're part of it. Antidepressants.
And then when you've done that, it makes you dizzy?
It makes them. It makes them.
I've never been able to understand what being high is, because I've never been high.
High is when I have never been high, but I can give you.
As a doctor, you may have encountered.
It is when you are in dissociated state.
You don't have control of yourself.
You are in a dissociated state, as if you're floating on air. Everything is rosy. Nobody can do you any harm.
Life is so
You can conquer the world.
Yes.
The world is your footstool.
Okay.
In fact, you have become a jet, a red eye, like a plane. You know, the one that can go from Nigeria to America in an hour.
Yeah.
Like that. It's like what performers take, like the late Michael Jackson. Something like that. When they take these medications, they are so untouchable.
Yeah, but I thought
they
in
are
this case
invincible.
he was taking that stuff to sleep, because he couldn't sleep.
That is part of the story we had. We don't know all of the stories.
Okay.
But he used to say himself that when he takes those medications, his shyness disappears.
He's on the top of the world.
It's like Beyonce.
feels like
It's like Beyonce, whose alter ego is Sasha Fierce.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to take any medication. She just knows that her alter ego is Sasha Fierce. You know, when she's on stage, she's not Beyonce knows. She's Sasha Fierce. Yes.
Dr. B,
So
I'm
people
interested
take
in,
these substances
yeah.
to bring up their alter egos.
Okay. Apart from the being high, there are people who are addicted to painkillers.
Yes.
And they keep taking it. But I'm wondering, is it drug abuse if I'm still feeling the pain and I still need that drug to help me feel better?
It is drug abuse if you are taking it beyond the scope, beyond the prescription.
Because I feel people who have had surgeries, have back injuries.
Sometimes it could be
sometimes
psychological.
it's because of that pain they keep going back to. It's like the drug isn't effective enough.
It is
that still drug abuse?
For some people, they become addicted to a certain painkiller because of a trauma that they experienced.
Okay.
In the course of treating the trauma or managing the trauma, those people become addicted to the pain medication. Tramadol right now is trending as a substance that is being abused.
Yes,
and
I've heard
tramadol
about
is a
that.
very strong painkiller, very effective painkiller.
Now, I have had occasion to take tramadol in the prescribed doses. It makes you nauseous. It makes you dizzy.
Oh, okay.
I avoid it if I can help it. So why anybody even thought,
different for
hey, they said, hang on,
individuals,
hey, they said take 2, but I'll just go ahead and take 10 anyway. I don't understand, because even the 2 ruins my day.
Wow.
You know, I'm like in a fugue state. I'm
Do
not quite
you feel
there.
lethargic? Are you like tired?
Lethargic. I want to sleep a lot. I feel like throwing up and all of this. And then somebody thinks it's a brilliant idea to go take 5 tablets? How does that
A
even
lot of
start?
people react differently to these medications.
individuals.
For you,
That
it makes
must
you
be the only
nauseous. For
explanation.
some other people, it makes them high and fly.
Okay.
That's it.
Wow.
It makes them high and fly. And you know the thing is, when I gave you my definition about drug abuse, we talked about the psychological effects, the social effects, the physical effects. These are the effects that these people that engage in substance abuse do not realize. That is why we have people like organizations like AA and NA, Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholic Anonymous.
Do you have them in Nigeria?
We have them in Nigeria.
Oh, really?
We
Support
do.
groups
But
like
they are-
that?
Yes, we do, but they are inconsistent and small.
Right.
They are inconsistent and small, and they are still very much under the radar. They are hiding.
Why?
And who wants to be stigmatized?
That's another thing.
Nobody wants to be stigmatized. And you know the thing that is quite baffling like what I learned recently from the NDLE, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. They put out a paper saying that 40%, as much as 40% of youth between the ages of 13 and 25 are engaged in one form of drug abuse or the other.
Very true.
As much as 40%.
Very true.
And it is not the regular drugs that we think. It's not the regular cannabis or marijuana or cocaine or heroin. That's not what they're taking. It's not even alcohol or tobacco.
What are they taking?
They're sniffing gum shoe glue. Or be shoe gum glue. Whatever they call it. Shoe glue. Shoe gum. The one that the cobbler, cobbler uses to fix your shoes.
Wow,
yes. They boil it and they sniff it.
And it makes them
They
high.
inhale it.
Okay, let's not be too specific about the house.
No, we
it's
have to be
happening.
specific
Yeah, I think
because this is what parents need to look out for.
Yeah,
Yeah, because my
exactly.
concern is
Some people might learn from
some
this.
might
They
learn.
learn.
from this.
No, but
And
in
then
the course of
some
people
will
wanting
also
to
know
learn,
in the
in
process.
the
All
course
have
of
no
people
better.
wanting to learn and wanting to go and experiment,
Yeah.
mothers who have noticed their kids doing this will begin to realize that this
Put
is
a
why
check.
he's failing his grades
Exactly.
in school. This is why he has insomnia, he can't sleep. This is why he's suddenly aggressive.
Or it
This is
can
why he's
cause
always
insomnia
with the
as well.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Yeah,
this is why he
restless.
Always
suddenly
with the
raped
cobbler.
this little girl. This is why
Wow.
all the monies in this house are disappearing
Yeah.
because he's buying shoe glue.
Yeah.
And now something else that these kids do that is not like inhaling the normal drugs that we know. They inhale methylated spirits. They
yes, I
inhale
think I've heard
methylated
of that
spirits. Methylated spirit that we talked on our last show about using it to clean your hair and all of that. Children inhale it.
And it makes you high too.
It makes them high. They wake up in the morning. You know, in your sleep state, you go and pee.
Yeah.
In the toilet, you don't flush. Okay, imagine you live in a house with 4 people,
Yes.
and all of you are living in it's a nice house, but maybe there are 4 boys in the house, and 2 girls. The girls are in their own room, the boys are in their own room. They have a room for visitors. Mom and dad are in the other room. The nanny is in the other room, so the house is full. Now these 4 boys go to pee in the WC. The first one pees, the second one pees, the third one pees. The fourth one, nobody flushes. And of course, they are boys. They don't use tissue paper. Now, the 4th boy who is hooked on the smell of urine is very happy. He does the 4th one. And when nobody's looking, he puts his nose in there and takes a deep whiff.
So
And then what
can make you
happens?
high?
It's making them high. That is a form of drug abuse.
And that's the
Substance
individual
abuse.
differences that we're
Substance
talking
abuse.
about.
This is what I'm saying, that the drug abuse is evolving. It's not just the regular cocaine and tobacco that we know about.
You have to watch out.
So you have to watch out. There's even something that they call gege or jagege in the north that they say they used to chase snakes away. Another one that they call zankli, that they used to chase, or zaka, they used to chase rats away.
Okay.
They boil it and drink the water.
No kidding.
Even scorpion that will attack you, your leg will swell if you're not careful to amputate your leg. They will catch the scorpion, kill the scorpion, dry the scorpion, blend the scorpion.
Where do they get these
and sniff.
ideas? Where do they know these
They
things?
read, they Google.
That was just about
They
to
But why should
just
it be on
as
Google
easy
in
as
the
an
first
internet.
place?
That's a conversation for another day.
Honestly.
Everything is there.
Everything. How to make a bomb.
Okay, Dr. B,
Internet
there
is doing
are
more harm
ladies
than
that are
good
watching the program now. I'm sure they're trying to look out for signs I mean, I have a young son and everything. How do I know if he's abusing any form of substance? What am I supposed to look out for?
That is why we have said the drugs that they're abusing or the substances that they're abusing are not the conventional ones.
not conventional.
So you have to make sure that you look out
Change in
for,
behavior.
even
That's
spice.
tough, though.
What?
Spice for cooking pepper
goodness.
soup.
Yes.
They use it.
No way.
Sniff it. The spices come already dried, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They sniff it. Right in there, snort it too.
But why would
Now,
anyone
I'll
want
give you an
to do
example
that?
of a domestic staff that we used to have.
Okay.
For some reason, every time we get coffee disappears. I'm not a coffee person. My husband is not a coffee person. The coffee is there for visitors.
Yeah.
You get the big one in a glass bottle, under 2 days it's gone. What is going on with this coffee? And we've not had visitors. So I just set a trap. I said, this guy, I always, there's this whiff of alcohol always coming off of him. This guy is the guy who's doing this thing. So I left the coffee there. Got the brand new coffee, left it there. No visitor. After 2 days, I went to look at the coffee, it's gone. I called him, Israel, what happened to the coffee? Started scratching everywhere. Now me take him. What did you take him do? Because you have been taking this coffee for how many months? What are you doing with it? That's when he said he's hooked on it.
Wow.
When he doesn't have money to go and take, and he doesn't drink the regular alcohol. You know the moonshine, the one they call kai kai, that killed a lot of
the local
people.
one,
Some other, that is what he sneaks out of the house to go and drink. When he doesn't have money to drink it, he just takes the coffee. Put like a huge amount of
And that
coffee,
thing is
put
bitter.
a little water,
Water.
and just take it down, and it makes him high.
Wow.
Okay.
And you know coffee contains caffeine.
Caffeine.
And
Yeah.
caffeine is one of the key ingredients in tobacco.
Addiction.
Addiction.
yes,
And that
yeah.
is the addictive ingredient.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Caffeine.
Yes, that is
Tobacco.
the addictive
Yeah,
ingredient.
That's why
you-
people are addicted to coffee. I
Yeah.
guess.
And that is why a lot of people run away from drinking the dark colored drink, the fizzy drink. I don't want to call the name.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
that some people will not take me to.
But still, I think what Nika is saying is,
How do you know?
yeah, what behavior changes should you
Exactly.
be looking out for?
I was coming to that. I just wanted to give her a little backstory.
Okay.
Now, what are the behavioral changes? Very easy. We talked about personal hygiene the other day. They begin to, show signs of not being cared for or looked after.
Okay.
They let their hygiene slip. They don't sleep at night. They are fidgeting
Restless.
all the time. They begin to cut school. They can't look you in the eye. Things begin to get missing from home, especially monies and valuables, because they need to maintain that habit.
yeah.
Now, if you have methylated spirit at home, you have coffee at home, like I just said, you have the ingredients for making your pepper soup, they begin to disappear.
Wow.
These are
And
the things
sleeping excessively sometimes.
Yes, sometimes it's actually both
On the other side of the
Yeah.
spectrum.
yes, side, either side. They are sleeping excessively
Or
they
not
can't
sleeping
sleep.
at all.
And they are agitated.
Yeah.
They are talkative. They are impulsive.
Sometimes irrational.
Their rate of
Aggression.
impulsivity increases. They are aggressive. They will suddenly rape their younger sister, or slap someone, or murder
Always
someone,
asking for money.
or steal. They're
Yes,
stealing.
all sorts of things.
You're normally calm, quiet, nice boy or nice girl, because it's a pity girls have joined them.
Unfortunately,
Becomes
yes,
something
yes.
that is turned into something you do not recognize. So these are all the signs and symptoms to watch out for. And like I said earlier, they are not just abusing the regular alcohol, tobacco. They are
So
abusing
that's what
cough
we need
syrup.
to watch out.
Cough syrup. In the papers 2 or 3 days ago, they said over how many million now?
3
bottles of
million
codeine
bottles of codeine are being
in one
sold
of the
in
northern
Kano.
states. Yes.
Is that daily, weekly?
Daily.
Sorry?
Yeah,
Say
and the
that
most
again?
unfortunate thing is
Yeah, I
ladies
saw it
are
too.
more into it.
I missed
Girls
that.
are more into it now than boys.
But what do you think might be the trigger to all of this?
I think
Peer
society, yeah, peer pressure,
I think
exactly.
peer pressure.
I know
I
thing.
peer pressure,
You know one
right?
thing
So,
about
but
peer pressure.
why-
You know one thing about peer pressure that I've never been able to understand, and I've had this conversation, for quite a while. What pressured the original pair? The
God, and
original
started.
peer
Exactly.
started it and then translated it.
Yeah, but you see, I like this question you asked because I was going to ask it too. Because for me, it seems as if the world has generally become slightly more evil. It's either
You
that
can
it
say
has
that
become
again.
slightly more evil or we're getting too much access to too much information.
That's
There
it.
is no day you go online that you don't read that some father has molested his baby.
Yes.
All these kinds of things are happening. And then some people want to give it to juju, peer pressure and all that. I don't really know what the answer is, but I'm wondering, as parents, for instance, are we being a little too lax?
I know what the
Is it
problem
possible?
is. Let me tell you what the problem is. All of us, man, woman, and child, in some way have compromised our values. We have all become complicit in one form or the other.
Yes.
Instead of us to be mothers, we are friends.
I tire.
Instead of us to be fathers,
Preach.
we are buddies. So we are.
It's like
we
having
are-
a
we have-
popularity contest
Yes,
in the house.
and the society has become gradually too permissive. Everything goes. A man and a woman that are supposed to go through the normal rites of marriage, introduction, dowry, traditional wedding, white wedding, court wedding, woman just jumps into the man's house and they start living together. And breeding kids.
Our values.
Our values have deteriorated.
Yeah.
That is why I said that I think I know what the problem is. We are all compromised in one way or the other. We have compromised our values.
Yes.
I think some people would argue too that
Yes.
that these things have always happened. It's just because of technology now that we get to hear of the frequency or the occurrence that these things have always happened.
You have a point. Maybe I think maybe what you're trying to say is we are getting more reportage.
Exactly.
We're getting more reportage.
Yes.
And then with the advent of
Of technology.
technology, it's easily
Spread out there.
spread out
Yeah,
there.
like
You
outside
lose
access to too much
technology,
information.
information.
Yeah, and then apart from that, new ways of sinning. No, I'm serious. I'm not even trying to.
Like, how would you even know that a sugar
For instance,
can make you high?
For
No
instance,
access
when
to
when,
too much
my,
information.
when our
Movies,
parents
yeah.
when our parents were teenagers, I'm sure they didn't have access to porn.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
There you go. That's why I'm saying that sometimes.
No, I mean, let's even talk about the availability of the technology.
They had access to porn, but not the porn that you can click and watch.
Exactly.
The
What I'm
one that
saying,
comes in a,
The pages, the pages
yeah,
of the book or a magazine.
I don't know about other people, but my dad was almost 80 when he died. I can almost bet when he was a teenager, he didn't even have a Playboy. I can almost bet
Playboy
that.
was not even so bad.
So
It wasn't fully pornography.
But where I'm going is that there's more variety.
Now,
There's a variety of
yes.
ways to
At the
sing.
click of a button.
Now, the things that are available to our teenagers now were not available to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I look at the Western society that we're trying to copy, and I'm like, are they that much better off than we are? No. These children that have all these entitlements and everything are committing suicide.
Yeah.
They're getting, I mean,
That is
look,
actually part of the drawback of drug abuse.
Yes.
Thank you.
The
Suicide.
suicide rates in substance abusers is off the charts.
It's true.
no.
I'm going to give you some statistics. Sorry
Yeah.
for cutting you off.
No
Let
problem.
me give you some statistics. Okay. Do you know that as of 2015, of course, statistics in Nigeria is a bit, not there. We have, paucity of, data on drug abuse and substance abuse. But worldwide, 27 million people are currently addicted to one form of substance or the other. The same 2015 statistics puts the people who attempted one drug or the other in the form of abuse at 600 million.
Okay, so the 27 million are the ones who are already successfully addicted.
Currently addicted.
Then the 600 million are the ones
Try
who are working their way
something.
toward.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they found out some of them died, some of them found out they don't like it, the others became addicted, and the other people walked away. Now, how many people died in that same year, 2015? And I was asking us to guess how many people died.
Tell us.
500,000
Out of 600.
out of 600 million.
That's 80%.
No, more than that. I mean, less than that. We have 600
Committed
million
suicide or died in the process?
500,000.
died as a result of being addicted,
Suicide.
committed suicide, tried to rob somewhere and they were shot.
Oh my God.
Molested
Drug-related death.
drug-related.
Drug-related,
And then we're not just talking about murder, suicide, rape, breaking and entry. What about highly, promiscuous behavior?
Yeah.
Which is
I understand that
Highly
particularly
promiscuous
comes out
behavior.
with girls.
Because like I
Yeah.
said earlier,
It
this is like a spectrum. It goes from substance abuse to addiction. And when the person becomes addicted, it's a whole different story. It's a whole different story.
a lot
From
of things.
engaging in high-risk sexual behavior, coming down with STDs, unwanted babies that they will have,
Losing your job.
push the babies out, dump them in a trash, go and look for the next fix. It's that bad.
Mental
and then
challenges.
these babies, if by God's grace they survive, they also have their own issues.
Yeah.
And do you know
They get
that
dysfunctional.
drug abuse or substance abuse comes on as a result of two factors? One, it could be genetic, or it could be a learned habit.
Yeah.
So it can be genetic.
Yes.
Yes.
It can be genetic, or it can be a learned habit. Yes.
If your parents are alcoholic,
You're genetically predisposed to become an
so
alcoholic.
you want to avoid alcohol as much as possible.
And there are some families that you may have noticed, they'll tell you alcoholism runs in that family or drug abuse runs in that family.
Not because
So you can be genetically predisposed or it can be a habit that you learned as a result of peer pressure
or
watching
watching
others do it. You say, let me try, and you get, hooked.
Dr. B, you talked about mothers out there
Yes.
and how the kind of things they should look out for, the factors, the behaviors in their teenagers. So if I do find out that my teenager is abusing a substance, tell me about a typical mommy intervention. What am I supposed to do? Do I meet the child up front? Do I get the man of the house, the daddy of the child involved? Because it could ricochet, it could go the wrong way.
Yes, and we
The
don't
child
want that.
could get violent. So how would you advise anyone listening that, okay, I think my son has a problem, what do I do now?
Now the thing is, you don't think that your son has a problem.
You have to prepare.
You have proof that your son has a problem.
Okay.
Let's take, for instance, your child is hooked on cough syrup, is hooked on methylated spirits, and is hooked on coffee. And I don't mean the kind of coffee that somebody will say, if I don't take 3 cups of coffee a day, my day has not started. I mean the one of that little Nescafe pack, tin, the child takes it in 1 second. That is what I mean by being hooked.
Wow.
Now you gather your evidence. We all have phones with cameras. You gather your evidence so that this child will not use bravado and say, Mom is a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. You gather your evidence.
Okay, so that certainly involves a certain degree of spying.
Of course. We are allowed to spy on our kids.
We're allowed to spy.
You live in my
I think we're allowed to spy.
You live in my
If
home.
you're under 18, I'm spying
It's
on
not
you.
even under 18. You live in my home. We live in Nigeria. You're under 21. I can spy on you. Because I'm spying
That's
on
the only
you.
way you get to find out
I am
anything.
spying on you for your own good.
Like they say on
I
social
want
media,
you
come
to
and beat me.
I want you to be a useful citizen.
Citizen,
In future. So I will spy on you.
Yeah.
Now, when I gather my evidence, I take the evidence to Daddy. And I say to Daddy, this is what I have noticed over the past few weeks or over the past few months. And I have gathered this evidence and I want us to have an intervention. We're going to stage an intervention. And now, the staging of the intervention that we're going to do is in such a way that it will not have a boomerang effect, like she said. Now, that son must have a friend or someone that he looks up to,
Yeah.
that he is afraid to disappoint.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to also get that person
Involved.
in the intervention.
Yeah.
Now, when every party is involved, is ready, we're going to sit the child. You know the way you have surprise, happy birthday, we're going to have kind of scenario like that. And then before you even have that kind of scenario, you have your evidence, you have the people to support you in the intervention. You're also going to have a story of someone who was once addicted and overcame the addiction.
Okay.
And then you're going to have a story or a photo or a video stream of someone who is currently,
Struggling.
who is addicted, who is in chains like they do in Nigeria, in a psychiatric ward somewhere. And then when you stage your intervention, it will be full and complete.
I've
So-
seen these interventions done. What I want to ask is the intervention at this point where you're bringing in third parties, is that not like a last-ditch effort?
No.
Should that be the very first thing you
No,
do?
because if you do the intervention between mommy and daddy, he knows mommy and daddy now. At the core of the whole intervention, they love him. He can
And they will
be-
accept him in whatever way.
He can be unruly, he can walk away, he can do whatever he wants to do. But if you bring actual people who have gone through it and overcome it, who have been treated and looking like crazy people, and a mentor that he looks up to, everybody pitching in their own 2 pence to tell him that this needs to stop. And of course, you have the evidence of him creeping around, sniffing and inhaling. It will stop. Because it's not only mommy and daddy who can solve it. Mommy and daddy will talk. The moment he walks away, say, I'm sorry, mommy, daddy, I won't do it anymore. He's going to inhale the next, the
But
one
part
that
of
he has put away.
Yeah, part of the intervention, does it include you not giving him access to cash? Because sometimes when they have, much cash available at their own disposal, it tends to give them a room to do whatever they like.
Of course.
To have access to these
Of
hard
course.
drugs. And
It's like telling someone you're grounded, or I'm taking your cell phone, or I'm taking your laptop.
Yes.
Yes, it's part of it.
But sometimes they go all the way to steal. 'Cause
Yeah,
the addiction.
they're already stealing. We already mentioned it. Part of it is they become social anathema. They have antisocial behavior. They begin to steal. They begin to do all sorts of things that they would normally not do because they're under the influence of these substances. So we do not want to do just a mommy-daddy intervention. It will not work. Mommy-daddy interventions do not work.
Wow.
You need to bring third parties in.
That's so sad.
And when you bring third parties in, they know that it's beyond the walls of that house.
Yes.
People outside know.
And they're embarrassed by that.
Exactly. That is even part of the reason why you're bringing third parties in. You want them to know that not only mommy and daddy knows now. He knows, she knows, they know.
And prayer too.
Of course.
Prayer
If you need to
is
bring the imam in, if you
sometimes-
need to the imam in, if you
or
need
the
to bring
pastor.
the pastor in, you do that. Because all of these people are going to help
You have to look at
make
it
sure
at
that
all
that
angles.
intervention
Yes,
works.
which is what they say. It takes a village. It takes
Yes,
a
it
village.
takes
to
a
raise
village.
village.
Yeah,
It takes a village.
It
that
takes
is
a
it.
village.
So it's not a mommy and daddy intervention thing. No, that won't work.
No, but how young should we start looking for these things? Are we looking more from the secondary school age and above, or
No.
are younger children also?
Younger children. You know what the age of accountability is? What is the age of accountability?
I don't know.
8.
8?
8 years.
Okay.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
What does that mean?
It means that is the age, both in Christian and in Muslim, in Muslim religion.
So a child should be responsible for its
A
actions.
child begins to be responsible,
Responsible for his
and even in heaven, that is when
They start
the
asking
book
questions.
for you is opened.
Every day is a
Your
learning
sins
experience.
from,
I had
your
no
sins
idea.
from age 8
Same here.
I didn't know
begins to be
this.
registered or
Anything
begins to be
8 years
recorded.
below, you don't.
So
they
from
don't
age
judge you.
8, because medically, at 6, a child has formed his or her character. At 6 years
Yeah, I
old.
read that somewhere and I was
So
frightened.
when you're from 6 years old until you're 120 or until God says come,
It's a secret.
the character you have at 6 is what you're taking to your grave. You have formed your character.
Wow.
At 6.
At 6.
So from the
this is
age
a
of
good thing.
accountability, which is 8 years old, we begin to monitor our kids for any sign of atrocities. Be it pornography, be it drug substance abuse, be it stealing, be it lying, we begin to monitor. Because that is also when they're being monitored and recorded.
But this drug abuse, does it have anything to do with society and the kind of friends you keep?
Yes, of course. That's
Yes.
where the peer pressure
And the
comes in.
community as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
there
but
are
sometimes-
communities. There are communities I heard. Pardon me to say that I heard in the north. There's a drink. I've forgotten the name of it. Is in Jos. Is a kind of local alcohol. I don't know if it's the Burukutu, no SKG. It's got a name.
Okay.
I don't know the name. I don't remember the name. It is a culture
Oh, I see.
to drink it from sunrise to sunset, from Monday to Sunday.
Is it moss? I keep hearing
No,
of moss.
no, it's not that one. It's got a funny long name that they
Okay.
have shortened to 3 letters.
Maybe Burukutu because that's
No,
BKT.
that's it.
That's Burukutu.
Yeah, Burukutu.
That's it.
It's
BKT.
BKT.
That's it.
Burukutu.
It is, it is
Yeah,
on
I think I've tried it before.
another
BKT.
level of alcoholic concoction.
Wow.
It's
They-
fermented. What do they do?
I don't know what it is.
Corn, yeah? They keep
The
it to
person
ferment and then
who
it
told me
becomes
about this says that they will
alcoholic.
drink, they will slump over, sleeping in the gutter, they wake up after 2 or 3 days.
They top up.
They top up.
Okay.
So
I think it's
that
like
is
palm wine.
culture.
Fermented palm wine. I
That is
think,
the culture that
something
we
like
need
that.
to stop. Because whether they realize it or not, it is a patterned use of a substance that is slowly killing
You'll be
you.
shocked that in that
Speaking-
particular community, it's a measure of your manhood.
Manhood, I know.
I bet you they're not encouraging women to get drunk
And roll into the gutters.
Who will do the
No.
cooking? Who will go to the farm?
Exactly. That is what we're talking about. So it's part of a cultural or a societal acceptance that we need to stop.
Okay, what about misuse? Because I've heard that if you go out clubbing and you come home with just to prevent a hangover the next morning, before you go to bed, you should take paracetamol to go to bed. And then I have a friend also who, out of exhaustion and stress, after a very long day, she takes Panadol before she goes to bed, just because she's used to it already. How do you stop that?
That is both misuse and abuse.
Yeah.
That is both substance misuse and substance abuse.
Because she doesn't need it,
You
or she
don't- you
thinks
don't
she
need
might
it.
need it.
You
Her
don't need
body
it.
needs it.
You don't need it.
She might need it
You
later
don't
in the
need
night.
it. You don't have a physical headache. She doesn't have a physical headache. She doesn't have any ache or any pain anywhere. She doesn't have any sore or any trauma anywhere. And then she's taking the paracetamol because it makes her feel good. What she doesn't actually realize is that she's addicted.
Yeah.
To paracetamol?
Yes.
Just once a day?
And sometimes it can be a psychological problem.
I think
because
sometimes
it's a psychological
that's
thing.
where I was
If she
going to
doesn't
Rakiba.
take
I
it, she
think
wouldn't
it's
be
more
able to sleep.
psychological.
Yeah, it's psychological.
I don't think it's an
Sweetie,
addiction.
What is
It
addiction?
is. It is.
What is addiction actually? It's a psychological effect. It's a psychological thing. Your psyche is telling you, if I don't take this, I won't be
Nika,
okay.
she might not even need it, but if she
I
doesn't
don't
take it,
take
she
this,
won't
I
sleep.
won't be
She won't
okay.
sleep because psychologically in her brain, it's
She's
registered.
used to it.
I have to
Psychologically,
take this
she's
to sleep.
addicted to it.
So she has to
Substance
find a way of
abuse.
And in her
breaking it.
mind, it's just
Substance
paracetamol.
abuse.
Anyway,
Paracetamol is a
paracetamol.
drug and it's
It's a
not
drug.
prescribed.
And it can do
Non-steroidal
things to your liver.
anti-inflammatory drug.
Yeah.
Oh,
Too
yeah.
much of it.
And it goes through the liver to be deaminated, goes through the kidney to be detoxified. So you're killing your liver and you're killing your kidney when there's no need to do that.
Then
Even
one day
people
when
that go
you're
through-
60, you'll be wondering what on earth
Not even
happened?
when you're 60. When you suddenly have the need for the paracetamol,
It will not work
doesn't
for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Because the plasma level of the paracetamol and the half-life of it,
Your body
in the
has
system,
already-
the system is so used to
It's
it,
used to
that
it,
they
and
give
then
you
they
that same
function.
dose.
Yeah.
When you need it, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So instead of you
That's
to take 1,000 mg of paracetamol every 8 hours, they're giving you 2,000.
And then-
or they're changing it all together to give you something stronger.
Stronger.
That you even become addicted to, later.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline. I used to work in a bank, one of the famous banks in Nigeria. Coupled with my job as a mother, and a wife. It's been very stressful, going to work very early, taking care of the kids, coming back very late, and also taking care of the kids again after work and the whole day of stress. So with the whole stress, pains and everything, I ended up taking up paracetamol. I started with 500 grams, but it practically didn't do anything because my body system was so used to it because I overused it. I moved down to 1,000 grams, and I kept using it for a while. And later, it moved up again, mostly at night. I take 2,000 grams a day. So it became bad. My body system was getting weaker and weaker. Only after some time, I was admitted in the hospital where I was diagnosed with kidney and liver problem. It's been disheartening. It's been sad. I really don't know what to say. But what I wanted to say, why I'm here in the media to talk about this is because I want to give advice to other people out there. It's not been easy for me, so I know it won't be easy for others too. Try your best, even if you want to take medication, let it be done by the doctors. Let it be a prescribed one. We should all try to stop self-medication. It's not been easy. I've been heartbroken by this issue, and it's been sad. Totally, it's been sad. So everyone should be careful.
And there are natural ways to, relieve all these pressures without taking drugs. Like, you could just
Take a cold drink.
Cold drink. Hot
Aromatherapy.
Aromatherapy.
Yes.
You could
Massage,
even
burning of
music.
incense.
It could even
Sometimes
be
it
music.
relaxes
Just
me.
something that
stress.
suits you.
I
Even
burn a
cocoa.
few
Something that
scented
suits you.
candles.
Even cocoa. A cup of cocoa.
Okay,
Milo, Bonvita, Ovaltine. They are going to have to pay us for this cheap commercial.
Yeah, for me,
Cheap
milk works
publicity.
for me. When I'm tired, I take milk.
For
I just
me,
pass out.
see, for me, when I'm tired, I'm too tired. I may have to wake up by 4:30 the next morning. And this, I'm looking at already 12 midnight. Do you know what I do? I go watch a movie.
Or read a book.
Or read a book.
Just open a page in it.
But my first go-to is to watch a movie.
Yeah, me too.
I'll scroll through all the channels. I see a series that I've missed, and I'll watch one series.
Okay.
And while I'm sitting down there,
You
towards
just doze off.
towards the end,
Yeah.
and I'll say yes, and I just manage to climb up the staircase, and I just fall down.
I very rarely take pain relieving tablets.
People out
You
there,
know why?
please.
If I have a headache, for instance, I have to attack it from the source. And for me, it's either of two.
Stress.
It's either I haven't eaten, I'm hungry.
Yeah, that
Yes.
happens
Or
to me too.
maybe I'm supposed to have gotten a certain amount of sleep, and somewhere
You
along
need
the
to
line
catch up.
I didn't, and I begin to have a headache.
Yes.
That's the only time
That is it.
I can
If
take
we know she's
paracetamol.
actually on the
So
right
I
track.
know- I as much as possible, I try not
That's
to
what
just
I'm
take
saying.
drugs.
Chinwe-
I find out from
Chinwe
I
is
have
on the
to
right
take
track.
naturally.
Yeah.
Chinwe is on
Treat
the right
it
track.
naturally,
Yeah.
exactly.
If you know the source,
the
the primary source of that ache or that headache,
tackle it
tackle
from
it
there.
before you go jumping. Because I mean, paracetamol is really, really over there.
Yeah.
Just
But what
like
age
somebody
group
was
are-
asking me the other day, why do people not go to the hospital if they have malaria or they have a headache?
They know.
I say, sweetheart, you go to the hospital, you're going to wait
Take a
with
test.
like 1,000 people to see the doctor. Okay, it's time to see the doctor. Did you get a card? Oh, I forgot. You go back, you pay 1,000 naira for a cheap
Open a
hospital, in
folder.
a cheap hospital or in a government hospital. You open a folder. Then you still wait for your turn to go see the doctor. You see the doctor. You say, oh, the doctor will tell
Go
you,
and do a
okay,
test.
1 or 2 things. Go and do all this
This
gamut
test.
of tests, and then come back and they still give you that paracetamol
That
that
you
you would have
have
bought
anti-malaria.
that you would have bought for
Over the
100
counter.
naira
Thank
over
you.
the
Save
counter
yourself all
at
the
the
cost.
pharmacy next to your house. So where will you want to go and see doctor? You don't even have
I'm
the
so
money
glad
in the
you
first
said
place.
this because you're a doctor yourself and you know the kind of things we go through.
Yes.
When I take my kids to the hospital, I'm like, I have to call in to the office and say, I can't come in just
Today,
yet because
yes.
my entire morning is taken up.
Yes.
And that's why private clinics are making
They're
such
thriving.
big money because
They are thriving.
the crowd
Service is
you
fast.
meet in a general hospital.
Because it's disheartening. You walk in there, you see so many people, and I know,
And you find
everyone
fewer
needs
people.
care, but wow.
You find fewer people in the private clinics.
Yes.
So people just
They are
keep there.
expensive, but they are effective.
More effective.
And that is the gap that the private hospitals have come to fill.
Yeah.
And they are going to be there until something happens in our government tertiary
Our government
institutions.
hospitals are good too.
They are
I'm not
good.
saying they're not
No,
good.
nobody's
but,
talking about
you
not
know,
good. We're talking about the number of people that
Yeah,
patronize
it can be
the private
overwhelming.
hospital. vis-a-vis the number of people that patronize the private hospitals.
And then
if
the
you
red
want
tape.
quick, that is it.
The red tape
if you
in
want
government hospitals
fast,
is something
quick,
else.
Quick, you carry yourself to this counter, pay here, move from here. Come on, you guys.
And you're already feeling ill, you know. So usually if I have the misfortune, quote unquote, of having to go to a general hospital, I always make sure I don't go alone.
Yes.
So that there's somebody who is doing
no,
the
no.
legwork.
No, it's
you
not
know.
even just a general hospital. Whenever you are ill, you must.
As a rule, I don't go to hospital
You must.
alone.
As
If
a
I can
matter
help
of
it.
necessity, go to the hospital with someone.
With someone.
Must.
Something could happen.
Must. Never go to the hospital alone. Never.
Wow.
Yeah.
Never.
Okay.
You must go to the hospital with someone.
But is self-medication something that should be
Exactly.
advised?
I was
Because,
going
you
to
know,
say
if you don't go
that.
to a hospital, sometimes you could have the symptoms of malaria, but
It could be
far
something
beyond
else.
malaria.
Yes.
It could be malaria 2+, which would you have to do like a
Acute.
combination therapy,
Yeah.
antibiotics,
Even
and all
ordinarily,
that.
ordinarily,
so the common
malaria is
layman
not
might
treated.
not. The common layman might not know, and he will keep on taking malaria, which will lead to drug abuse. Because after taking, let's say, artesunate, and then you now go to Lonart, and then you keep taking those drugs, and they're not working for you. So you need to seek for medical intervention.
And that is why our pharmacies have been granted license to do the
Test.
quick rapid test for
malaria.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, how
There's a
many of the
pharmacy near my
pharmacies
house
do
that
they
set up a
do
small lab,
have
and I'm
this
like,
kind
wait, is
of
this
of
allowed? I
technology?
didn't know that.
No. You know the quick rapid test, RDT. They just take your blood, put it there. It says malaria or not.
No
It doesn't
kidding.
say 1+ or 2+. It just says
How many
you have
pharmacies
malaria.
do
You
that
know, I
now?
was going to ask
You know,
you,
and then it-
what test must one go through? As in, is it blood test? Is it urine test? Because
malaria.
sometimes
Blood
you just
malaria
go
is
somewhere.
usually
It's
blood
a
test.
blood
Is it for malaria?
For malaria,
It's blood
Blood
test.
test,
It's blood
blood
test,
test.
right?
Because that is where the plasmodium is.
Yes, it's
Right.
blood
Yes.
test.
Right.
Yes. It's blood
Wow.
test.
Okay, Dr. B, what
But
about...
there are different types of blood tests. There's a smear test, the one that is more accurate.
Okay.
And then there's a rapid test. The rapid test tells you, yes, malaria is ongoing, there, but it doesn't tell you
the rapid test
how.
the one where they use that thin tube?
Yes,
and they-
yes.
Okay.
No, that is a different one.
Okay.
That one is the pipette. It's a different one.
Uh-huh.
The rapid test is they prick you there and they put the drop, just like for what's it called, fasting blood sugar.
Yeah.
They put it in a little, even for
And
HIV.
it shows, but it doesn't
the same,
tell
the same thing they do for
how bad
HIV,
it is.
and they just put it there. So it's a,
Oh,
it's a
really?
yes, you have or no, you don't have.
Oh, I didn't know
It doesn't
that.
tell you how
How
bad it is.
how bad it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Oh,
they
I
just say,
didn't know
okay,
that.
yes, you have malaria, and they give you the Coactem that they've been trying to sell. And all of that.
So
that
self-medication
2-3
is
days.
part of drug abuse.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Dr. B, what about like the extreme consequences of drug abuse? I mean, some people actually start to lose...
Some people end up in the psychiatry.
In our discussions,
Their
we've already
minds.
covered the consequences. So, but let's recap the consequences. First of all, hygienically, you begin to deteriorate. You look like a crazy person. You don't take a bath. You don't comb your hair. You don't use any of the nice perfumes you used to use before. You know, people begin to run away from you because you smell. All right, you lose your job. You can't keep a job.
Yeah.
You lose your job. You drop out of school. Okay, now you become depressed. You begin to steal, commit suicide, kill other people, rape, engage in high-risk sexual behavior, come down with STDs, including HIV, and of course, we talked about death.
Yeah.
Suicide.
And then for people who survive all of these, they become mentally, deranged, or they are depressed, and they are thrown into the psychiatric ward and they are forgotten.
But doctor, what age group are more susceptible to, all this drug abuse?
Yes.
We
what
already
age
mentioned
group?
the age group,
And then
13 to 25.
13 to 25.
Yes.
Okay. And why is it that ladies are more into this? Does it mean that our ladies are girls are not happy, or they are being neglected at home, or they have access to, I don't understand.
They want to
what-
feel
more
among.
into it, but I think what we established was that ladies were
Beginning to...
are catching up.
No, I think they're
beginning
far,
to
far
They're
ahead.
closing the gap
I'm
now.
telling you, they're far, far ahead.
For real.
Ladies
Yes.
smoke,
They're far,
They
far
drink.
ahead.
they inhale, they sniff, they inject, just as the men do.
Okay.
But I cannot categorically tell you that women are doing it more than men. The statistic that I have is for men,
Okay.
being the leaders of the pack.
Can you get addicted to shisha?
What's shisha?
That thing, the Arabian thing they smoke.
Of course.
Of course, it's
Isn't
addictive. It has,
is it like a vest?
Is
I heard it's
it a
just
form of
flavored,
smoke?
I thought it was just flavor.
It
Just
is.
because it comes in flavor doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's not. It's
It
not.
is.
Yeah.
It's a
And
substance.
some people
I
say
see
it's
it and I'm like,
actually more deadly
interesting.
than tobacco.
Yes.
Because
really?
you're inhaling. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's
and
more-
I've
you
been
know, the thing
thinking
about
I really want to try that.
You know, because it looks so cool.
That is the problem. It looks cool, and then you get addicted.
There's this thing they say about smoking. You being the passive smoker being you're sitting next to the
Secondary
person.
smoker.
You're more
At risk.
at risk than the person that is
Yes.
actually doing
Actually,
than
yes.
an active
Exactly.
smoker.
That is why
Yes.
they have banned smoking in public places.
Yes.
Yes, to reduce.
Has it been implemented?
No, that's the problem. We have all
They've
these
tried.
beautiful. We have
They've
all these
tried.
beautiful
By just
activities.
And I think
Just
sometimes
there's
it
a law.
starts from the shisha, like you're saying.
It's not
Sometimes
good
they
enough.
put codeine in
Gradually,
it,
it's not
they
good
put
enough.
caffeine, they put weed,
Do
they
you
put
know-
all sorts of things
In the
because
shisha thing?
yes.
Okay.
And
you
some
know-
of the flavors, like they say, make them high.
Yes.
Double apple,
Yes,
double this,
yes.
double. There's a mixture they do.
You
Yeah.
even know the names.
Thanks for telling me.
I've never
because
smoked. I really like smoke.
You know, I was telling my husband, you know, this, I really want to do this.
No, no,
thing.
you
We need to
shouldn't.
find
And
one
what
day
did
and
your
go and
husband
do
say?
it. So that I was like, yeah, you know,
It looks cool actually,
yeah,
you know.
it looks cool. I
Sometimes
want
they
to try
will
it
make
too, you know,
bubbles
I-
with the smoke and you'll be like, oh,
yeah,
this
you
is
know,
so
the bubbles
cool
and the
everything.
flavor and all that kind of
Something
thing.
being
Believe
so
me, some
cool.
of the flavors
Something being so
make you
cool
high,
is
and most
going to-
times they add up some substance in it.
They
Oh
do.
my Lord.
Thank you
for telling me
So
this.
if
I
anybody
didn't
tries
know.
to offer you shisha, just
Don't
like,
take.
nah,
That is
I'm
why
okay.
you keep going back.
Thanks for
There's an
telling me.
addictive
Yeah.
ingredient in there that
There
makes
is.
you to keep
There
going
is.
back.
Wow.
And do you know that the most successful drug dealers in the world do not touch the substance?
How they
No,
don't.
of course they don't.
They don't touch the substance.
Please,
Of
they
course
don't.
they don't.
No.
So
I know that.
That
I
is
know
what
that.
that is what the people who abuse the substance do not know.
And you know, prior to I'm a crime and investigation addict.
Yes, I know that.
Just
like my dad.
Yeah. And prior to that, I used to be like, oh, all these countries that have a death penalty for drug pushers, they're so cruel. And it would, after all, they're just selling now. If you don't want, don't buy.
That's not
I
good
now realized that if you scratch the surface of crime just a little bit, you'll find drugs. Any
yeah.
crime at all
Yeah.
is fueled by drugs.
Drug.
From prostitution,
Yeah.
murder, stealing, armed robbery.
But my question is,
breaking
yeah,
and
who is
entry,
to
rape.
blame? The person that sells the drugs or the person that goes to buy the drugs?
Both, because you owe yourself a responsibility
We're not
to
looking at
not do
we're
that.
not looking at the blame game when it comes to drug abuse. We're looking at eradicating it,
Yeah.
and to eradicate it, you have to eradicate it from the source. And the source is the people
And the supplier.
who
Who
supply,
manufacture,
who
Yeah,
manufacture,
the supplier.
supply. Yes, that is why it is so difficult. It is so difficult to eradicate because it's a crazy money.
When they talk
spinner.
about cocaine, I'll be like, this is a white man thing. Where do you
It's
get
not.
cocaine in
Yeah.
Nigeria?
There is,
coca
I'm-
leaves.
I'm
Coca
always-
leaves is right here.
Oh, they make it.
It's from leaves. Coca leaves. Cocaine.
really?
You get it, you dry it, you blind it.
That's
And
it.
you
That's
know,
it.
I have a strong feeling, right, that all this Boko Haram nonsense, IPOB, blah, blah. You remember there was a time in Nigeria when NDLA, the fear of NDLA was the
beginning of wisdom.
Yes,
Yes.
Who
yes,
was this
yes,
fellow?
yes.
The lady.
Dami.
You couldn't even put the Indian hemp thing in your hair. They were raining salons.
Yes.
You understand?
I remember.
I
You
remember
remember?
those creams
Yes.
that
Do
had
you
the-
remember
Yes.
how much peace and order we had at that
Even when
time?
they were, people were saying you put what's it called now, vitamin A in your hair, and you couldn't find it in immunization clinics anymore. They were ready salons.
Oh, I mean, I'm just hearing
yes,
this one for
they
the
were ready
first time.
salons. They started putting vitamin A in
Yeah,
their
but
hair.
then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened.
It's change
but,
of leadership.
Yeah, maybe, I guess.
I don't want to blame it on democracy, but the truth is democracy has brought us quite a few evils
Of
that
course.
I think our
You
leaders
take the
need
good with the
to
bad.
our leaders need to get with the program. Because when NDLA was NDLA, when you had customs and immigration and all these people doing their work, you couldn't just stroll around smoking weed and doing all kinds of stuff.
pick
They
you up.
were lifting people off the
Yeah.
street.
Yeah,
They
they
were
were
lifting
lifting
people
people
off the
off
street.
the street,
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Nigeria
remember.
was blacklisted for death penalty
Exactly.
because they were killing. I mean, if you were pushing drugs, it was like an automatic death sentence.
Boom.
Yeah.
Capital
You know,
punishment.
But now, you hear the creative way somebody got killed, and you're like, no, there's no way the person who did that killing was in their right senses when they did it.
When they
And
did
have
it,
you
yes.
watched some of these Boko Haram videos?
No,
I
I
refuse
try
to
not
watch,
to.
but I've
I
heard stories.
don't like to watch.
And nobody, I don't
I
think
try not
anybody-
That is
to.
why I am actually
They're
not
not
on
in there.
WhatsApp. Too much
really?
information.
Oh my God, I don't believe there's
Too much
anybody in
information.
their right senses who
that
can
would
use
do.
a chainsaw on a living, breathing human being who didn't do anything to you.
Oh my
You have to be
goodness.
under something.
Yeah, under the
They are, they are. Because you know, even these young girls that they traffic for economic gains,
Yes.
that's the first thing they do to them. They subdue them with drugs.
Yeah.
They keep you so cooked up, so high. You don't even know what
You
you're
don't even
doing.
know what exactly
When they
is going
begin
on.
to withdraw the drugs and you begin to have withdrawal symptoms,
You yourself
you're
will
the
give
one
yourself
asking
out.
for the drugs. You're the one asking, please give me whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And then they'll give her some more shots. And they'll say, you sleep with 200 men. And she'll say yes.
Talking about intervention, is it good for you to, like, when you have a child that is going through all this drug abuse, addiction, is it advisable for you to take a child to like this institution that they usually call
rehab,
that helps a rehab institution?
Oh yes, that is the next
Because
logical
most
step.
times when they go out of it back to their own society, it's like a relapse.
Do we have rehabs?
Do we have exactly?
We do. We actually have, but they are
We
few
have.
and far between.
We have.
And are they functional?
They are,
As
they are
functional as they
functional
should
as
be?
Like in the north,
they are
I think
functional,
they
but
mix it with the religious aspect.
Of course,
Yes,
in
the
Nigeria,
religious
you
aspect,
cannot,
and then
you
they will
cannot,
have-
remove
Yes,
religion.
can't separate
Yeah.
the
You
two.
cannot
Yeah.
separate religion from everything that we do,
Yeah.
and it helps. That is our own way.
But
They
I've
do
seen a
have.
case where after intervention, like after the rehab, 3 months, back to the society, back to the community,
And
access
the
to
person has
everything.
relapsed.
Yeah,
That's the
no,
thing.
there is
Yes,
still
that's the-
relapses.
There are relapses, there are cases of relapses, but there are cases of people who have
There's
you know,
success, yes,
successfully.
successful.
And these people that are successful,
I think you have to show them so much love.
You have
If-
to
when they come back,
understand it,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
because you're
understanding,
trying to
and then you have
reintegrate
to
and rehabilitate.
exactly
Yes.
know what works for him. Mental, you know, you have to understand their mental.
Because at
activity.
the core of the treatment package is to reintegrate the person back into society and then go back and become a human being. What do I mean by that? If you were in school and you dropped out, you find a way to go back to school. If you decide you do not want to go back and get a formal education, then you go and get an informal education. But you must be meaningfully engaged in one form of commerce or the other. Otherwise, you'll be tempted again to fall back.
And
What about
recently, I heard
the percentage, the small percentage of people who stigmatize individuals who've been rehabilitated.
That is why-
You know, what are the chances of me employing someone who's been to rehab and back?
That is the thing. That is why a lot of people who have, kicked the habit do not tell anybody because of the stigma.
Yeah.
And that is why they do not champion the cause
Yeah.
for substance
and that's why
abuse
some parents do
eradication.
not take their children to rehab.
They don't tell them
I will
anything.
never take him to rehab.
Exactly.
The world will judge him.
The best thing that they do is to put him on the next available plane out of Nigeria.
Absolutely.
That's if they reach.
That's for those
if
ones.
they
who
can.
cannot
those that are
afford it.
rich.
Oh, you know the funniest thing? The,
Or lock up- or
the
lock them in the
elites, the kids of the elites and the elites themselves are the ones that are most susceptible to the most expensive hard drugs.
Yes.
Yeah.
To the cocaine and the heroin. Then the people who are down in the social ladder are the ones that are taking the sugar,
gum,
the methylated spirit, the codeine, and the likes. So the effects at the end of the day is the same.
Yeah,
You know?
that's the thing.
But the cocaine and the heroin kills faster than these other ones.
We've spoken so much about effect, how to spot the signs and things like this. But with regard to triggers, we spoke about, we said peer pressure, right? Maybe seeing
Learned habits.
learned habits,
Yes.
picking stuff up the
Yeah,
internet and
predisposition.
stuff. But have we, like, are we just glossing over the fact that emotional issue, even the way the home is,
I wanted to say something
could
recently.
be a trigger?
Yeah,
Recently,
it
they
can be a
said
trigger.
marriages, failed marriages.
Yes, it can be a
Because the
trigger.
For the
lady,
wives.
yes, for the ladies recently, because the lady doesn't want to go back home, fear of
That's one.
being judged by the community.
Back to her
You don't want to
father's
have
house.
an affair.
Is that what you
Exactly, you don't want to have an affair. You can't communicate with your husband, and then your parents will be like, you have to stay, whether you're
Happy or not.
happy or
Happy
not.
or not,
Do you
yes.
understand? Because you don't want to be judged by
Yes.
this. And these ladies end up, they need to find a solution.
Yeah.
And the only way they can do that is by taking hard drugs to make them forget about everything.
And for
And
these
it becomes
ladies,
addictive.
the first hard drug that they come in contact with is alcohol.
Alcohol, cough
A
syrup.
lot of housewives are alcoholics.
And codeine.
Yeah.
And codeine.
Yes.
So that you can sleep off all the whole day,
And you
or
see-
antidepressants to make you sleep.
You know another
and you
thing
forget all
that
your
you
worries.
We'll need to
can
be
be
wrapping
addicted
up
to.
soon. We're running out of time.
Something else in this scenario where
Yeah.
we talked about an unhappy wife or an unhappy household, a lot of women turn to food and turn to alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, if
So
they're
you're
not,
saying food can be a drug?
well, for right now,
Is it a good addiction?
you know, for right now, obesity is both a disease, is both an addiction, is both a psychological problem
Yeah.
right now. Not in Nigeria, in the developed country. That is where they have classified it. And how do you get obese? When you eat
Depression.
more than you need and you do not exercise. And what's the cause of that eating? It could be as a result of an unhappy marriage or unhappy home. So food becomes your go-to comfort.
Yes, your comfort.
Go-to comfort. So in as much as we want to look at substance abuse and all of that, what about food? This will be a conversation for another day.
Yes, and that's where we'll have to wrap up for today. Dr. Brima, thank you so much. Your
pleasure.
I mean, your input has been invaluable. That's been invaluable.
Thank you so much.
And that's why we'll be wrapping up this particular conversation where we're talking about drug abuse and attendant issues. So from my left,
Nikia saying goodbye.
Stay safe.
Rikiba, goodbye.
Substance abuse, no. Parents out there, watch out for your kids.
yeah, and the name is Mom, Deva Mom. And I'll see you again next time.